Hi everyone, so I decided to shoot another video today. It's a beautiful afternoon here in New York City. I had some free time, so I just wanted to do it. Uh, I'm going to be talking about a subject that doesn't get discussed very frequently amongst ex-JWs. I'm going to discuss it only because it's important to me. I've experienced this problem, and I'm sure that others have as well. And I just want to, put this out there on the table, especially for people who are just leaving the cult. I want them to have this information. When I disassociated myself in 1995, one of the first things that started happening to me was I was harassed. So I'll give you examples of the harassment. I live alone, and I would come home from work in the evenings, and my belongings would be rearranged. So, for example, I left my remote control, TV remote control, on the table by the bedside. I'd come home from work, it's gone. So I'm looking all over the house, under the bed, looking everywhere for this remote control, and can't find it. Right? I go to work the next day, come home from work, and the TV remote control's back on the table where I originally left it. Okay. Another example of this. I would talk to my friends or co-workers on the phone, and the same exact conversation I had with them, I'd 3 days later, I'd be on the subway, and two complete strangers would be having the exact same conversation, word for word. So that was another example of the harassment. It felt like my phones were tapped. Okay? I've had instances where I'd be standing in a public area, plenty of space, and a crowd of strangers would just surround me and start talking to me as if I'm part of the group. There's been times where I've gone into stores, and been shamed, or embarrassed by the sales clerk. Same thing. I'll go into the post office, same thing. Just various types of harassment. I've had people intentionally bump into me. I've had people follow me. I've had strangers take photos of me. So various types of harassment. And it gets unnerving after a while. When it first started happening, I was like on the verge of a mental breakdown. Psychologically, it was pretty brutal. And keep in mind, the shunning, you're also dealing with the shunning and getting accustomed to that. So that the harassment just only makes things even worse. You feel very overwhelmed. I had no proof that the cult was linked to it, but again, because it started immediately after I left, that's why I felt that they were either directly or indirectly part of the harassment. And then to make matters worse was I didn't really have any proof. I did not have any clear-cut proof of who was doing what. And so I was afraid if I told someone, they would think I was being either overly sensitive or I was just going nuts. So I never talked about it. I didn't like discussing it. I didn't like bringing it up. I just felt like it would be opening up a can of worms that I was just trying to get revenge against the cult if I talked about it. So this is what I did. I said to myself, I'm just going to ignore it and I'm going to go on with my life. My friends are having a birthday party, I'm going to the party. It's time to vote, I'm going to go to my poll site. They're having an office Christmas party at my job, I'm going to go to the Christmas party, right? So that's what I did. I tried to ignore it, tried to block it out. I felt that the harassment was a way to try to break me psychologically to get me to go back to the cult. Jehovah's Witnesses teach their members that Satan the devil is the ruler of this world, so of course everybody's going to think it's Satan the devil that's orchestrating all of this. And so my question was, well, what if it's not Satan the devil? What if it's the cult? And keep in mind, the cult doesn't care why you stay a member. The cult doesn't care if you stay out of fear. It doesn't care if you stay because you love it there. It doesn't care, it doesn't matter if you stay in the cult because you have family in the cult. It doesn't matter why you stay. The only thing that matters is that you do stay. And so I really began to question, is this the kind of, am I going to have to deal with this harassment indefinitely. And it really, for many years, it was really on a daily basis. It was very traumatic. It was very intense. And so I completely, when people say I'm being harassed, I don't doubt it for a moment because I have experienced it. So I do want to share my personal thoughts on what you should do if you find yourself in this situation. The first thing is, do not keep silent about it. That is first and foremost. Do not keep silent about it. Don't feel like you have to suffer in silence. Cults need our silence. They need our silence. They don't need us talking to the press. They don't need us talking to law enforcement. They need our silence. Don't give it to them. That is my best piece of advice. Do not remain silent. Get in the Facebook groups. Just get it out there. Tell people that you are being harassed. Even if it's family members, your friends, whoever it is, let us know that you're being harassed. That's the first thing. Because once you do that, then you can freely discuss it, and the cult has one less way of getting at you, because they now know that you will expose them. Okay, so that's one. Second thing, I reported what was happening to me to the FBI. The FBI considers Jehovah's Witnesses a cult. And the FBI studies all cults in this country, all of them. Scientology, all of them. All right, so again, you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to have proof of all of this harassment. You don't have to have video footage. This is not crime scene, investigation Miami and all of this. This is not Kojak. No one expects you to be Detective Columbo and do all this stuff. You're just gonna file a report with the FBI and let them know what's going on. Okay? And for me, that was one of the biggest problems, is that I didn't have proof. And as a Jehovah's Witness, that's the first thing they tell us. If you don't have proof or two witnesses, then you have nothing. So I like an idiot, right? I thought law enforcement works the same way. I didn't even have to show them proof. No. In this instance, you're not going to have proof. They're going to make sure you don't have proof. But what they will do is what you can do is you can go to, as mentioned, to the FBI and let them know what's going on. And because again, they're already checking these groups. They already know that they are cults and they are not bona fide religions. And so they know that it's because it's a scam that they resort to deceit and to unethical methods to try to keep members in their ranks. So again, you don't have to suffer in silence. Talk to others who are experiencing it and talk to law enforcement. The last piece that I recommend that really helped me the most was, I figured that the cult was doing all of this to me to try to get me to go back to the cult. I felt that it was being done so that they could break me psychologically, so that I'd return. And so since they were so determined to have members, I figured what better way to repay this kind of treatment than to go after their membership. So that's what I do. I try to get members who are currently Jehovah's Witnesses to leave by sharing information with them. I don't lie. I don't exaggerate the facts. I give them, if there's an article in the newspapers about pedophiles and the Jehovah's Witness group, I'll post that on my timeline in Facebook. If there's any kind of expose information about Watchtower, maybe there was a TV program that was done, I upload the information to my Facebook, to social media, so others can see it. So that is important. That is important because even if you don't get anyone to leave the cult, you don't want the others to join the cult. So by publicizing as much negative information about the cult as possible, that's how you prevent the cult from getting new members. The other thing that I like to do is I've researched cults only for my own personal benefit. And so I try to get others to do that. I try to share the information I learned about cults with others. And that's why, because you don't want them to get to a place where they think that this is a bona fide religion and blah, blah, blah. If you can get them to see that it's a cult, then they can see how cults operate. Cults don't operate above board. They resort to anything to keep members. And so that part of it is important. Because once you understand that they will stop at nothing to keep members, then you understand, okay, well, that's why the harassment is done, is because they need to keep people inside. And if you left, they need you to go running back. So that's my video for today. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them below. I do respond to all the messages or anything that's left for me there. And again, if you are being harassed, please don't feel like you have to suffer in silence. That is the biggest mistake that any ex-JW can make. Our silence is what keeps them in business. It keeps them getting more and more members. So we need to be vocal about what's happening to us. We need to be vocal about what it's like being a Jehovah's Witness. We need to get our stories out there. So that's another way that we can help this cult from growing, is by getting our stories out there, by doing YouTube videos, by writing books about our lives and putting it out there. But that's why it's important, because if we don't do TV interviews and YouTube videos and stuff, people just look at JWs, they look so nice and kind and polite. There's, you don't sense any harm there. You don't sense any danger to the group. But there is an underlying danger, and we need to get that message across. And so that's the reason why I do these videos. That's why I really am trying to get people to understand that Jehovah's Witnesses is not a religion, it's a cult. And the sooner we get that message across, then the harassment and everything else that we've dealt with as a Jehovah's Witness or ex-JW, it all makes sense. All right, so that's the video for today. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. Have a good week, everyone.